I want to start off by saying that was, no, I don't think anybody knows what I'm about to say because I'm so floored. I barely know what I'm about to say. That was the greatest experience I've had in the cinema in a long, long time. It's such a layered, careful project, and I think the themes are so deeply explored, while not being so heavy-handed. It's a good movie. Like, it's hilarious. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. Like, the whole time I was just in awe and thankful that this medium exists, because it's such a converging point of all these different things that I love and love to discuss and love to, pontificate on, but I can't do it as beautiful as like in a piece of cinema. So first of all, just thank you.
Thanks for that. Yeah. And I can't do it like that either, so that's why I do that. It's a lot easier than using my hands. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that, man, it's just so much shit that I want to ask you, and so I'm just trying to get firstly, I just want to say the movie, again, is so layered and so big, and there's so many important plot devices that one of the main questions I wanted to ask is like, where did this movie start? Like, for you, what was and it might not be a specific moment, but like, when did you say like, I'm gonna make I Love Boosters? Was it with, the situational accelerator? Was it from a fashion standpoint? Was it, what was the specific thing that started it?
Well, first, 20 years ago, I wrote a song called I Love Boosters. And I guess like the song is like maybe the first 20 minutes of the movie or something. And so when we sold Sorry to Bother You, I had like kind of been working on it for 8 years and not touring and squatting a house because I was like, we're gonna get to Sundance, I promise you I'm gonna pay you this back, blah, blah, blah. That it's gonna be the talk of Sundance, I'm gonna make some money. And we sold it for exactly how much the investors paid for it, so I didn't make any money. But I had ideas already of what sort of worlds that are, because often, what I'll do is I'll think about something from a different character's viewpoint and then just think about what do I think about the world in connection to that. And then, and so it'll be about where do I want to start off. And so, I had these ideas. I had this and then actually 2 other ideas, or 3 other ideas, one of them being I'm a Virgo, and then the other 2 that I've sold that are my next 2 movies. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start in this world, maybe. That's what I was thinking about, but what would be the thing? And often what I'm doing when I'm writing, besides thinking about what I think about the world around me, is doing what that device does, which is heighten the contradiction. And what is that? And so the first thing was, okay, this is like part of production and distribution, these boosters. So what would bring the beginning of that to them? And that was the teleporter. So that was the heightening the contradiction. And then so that's what I was going around saying, oh, some boosters find a teleporter, and it was making people laugh, like, oh, that could be funny, blah, blah, blah. And then I started writing that, and I got bored. And I was like, okay, that's cool, it's like a gimmick. And so I put that down, finished writing I'm a Virgo, and then actually wrote this other movie that is the next movie. And while I was doing that, I started thinking about science fiction, and because that's what's in some of the other stuff. And I was thinking about how science fiction has changed even our idea of existence. So for instance, the only thing there is right now. The only thing there is right now. Everything before history doesn't exist anymore. It's just a memory. Everything ahead of me is in the future. That's just in our imagination. The only thing is right this second, right now. That's all we have. Now, that's empirically proven science. But when I say it, I sound like a hippie. And the reason I sound like a hippie is because of science fiction. Because science fiction has made us think that history exists. We could get to it if just technology was at the level where it could do that. So we kind of even, like take it with a grain of salt when people say all we have is now, right? So I was like, okay, and I'm not against mythology. I'm not against people believing bullshit. That's fine. It serves a purpose. Like, it's useful. But I was like, okay, but what if instead of that concept that really isn't there, what if I put a philosophy that I actually use in there? And what would that do? And I started thinking about this, and I got excited. And that's when I sat down and finished writing the movie.
It's incredible. I think one of the things that I noticed was the story is consistently like accelerating in terms of like there's consistently conflict, consistently something that's taking us to the next stage, but it also seems like very like well constructed or at least thoughtfully constructed down to like the transitions. One of my favorite transitions, there's like a scene where it's like a two-shot, they lean their heads to the side, then you go to that crooked building, and it makes me wonder, like, for one, like when you got to production and you were like, I'm making this movie, how much of that, like all these beautiful editing moments and like, seamless transitions through the movie, even through the story, how much of that was like concrete, and then, if any, how much of that changed on set with the actors and like actually making the film?
Well, there's always a lot of stuff that changes, but those transitions that was written in there partly through discovery from Sorry to Bother You stuff that we were doing, like in Sorry to Bother You, when we have all the papers flying behind him and he's, feeling deflated and he's sitting there. It took us a long time to get the papers flying. And on an indie movie, like, you just let that go. Like, oh shit, tried it, didn't work. Let's just focus on his face, and that's it. But I was like pushing it, like, no, and we ended up spending 30 minutes, and we finally got it together. And 30 minutes is a lot of time, right? And so I was feeling a little guilty about that, but I was like, oh, this makes it cinema, whatever, right? But then I was trying to justify, like, how good it was, so I needed to make it better because we had spent all that time. So then I was thinking, that right then I was thinking, what could we do? And I was like, okay, what's the next scene? And then so that, because it hadn't been planned ahead, I was like, okay, turn to the side and say, you're gonna just stuff all those in your mouth, and then, because that's something we could do in the next thing, is have them doing that. So that was it, and it worked. And so I started writing those sorts of things into this. And so, that, and then the dolly back, and then she reaches over and gets the weed, that sort of stuff. That was all just like, okay, let me kind of double down on that stuff. So, but there's a lot of discovery that happens. Some of it in prep, while we're like, oh, we're not gonna get that done. Let's do this other thing. So originally, like, the montage was gonna be like, I wrote it like locations, these things happening, and then it's mixed in with them being in the van, changing real quick, and there was a different sort of comedy to it. But that was one of the things, like, oh, we don't have money for this, maybe they're gonna have to just be robbing the yellow store over and over or something, right? And then I was like, okay, no, we can do it cheap. They were like, how? And I was like, okay, we'll just do a one wall set and just divide it up, like here's the red store, here's the brown store, here's a, you know, yeah, and so it was like, we'll just have like one setup. That's why the pink store has, we did do 2 walls. We did a corner for that. And then it was all about, okay, well, but then we still got them in the van, because all these little things end up taking time. Like, we got to get in the van and, you know, get all the, yeah. So it was like, no, we're just gonna have that camera set up there while we're shooting the other stuff, and the van is gonna be against green screen, and we got the pictures for the backgrounds off the internet, and then so, but it made us do things that were more graphic, right? It made us utilize other things more, you know, like, okay, this red hat, and that was like, also to sell that, I had to be like, oh, you know, Peter Greenaway, he did that in The Cook the Thief, his wife and her lover, you know, so like, you gotta like do those sorts of things. So, but then this, so it made us, yeah, just do more graphic things to save money. Also, like, originally we were only gonna do miniatures for inside the mall. I knew obviously we were gonna, that wasn't gonna be able to be a real mall, and so I was like, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna film the rest of it on a street in San Francisco, and it just kept getting, and it was storyboarded out to where, oh, we can do it in just 27 setups, we could do that. And it was just so expensive, and it was like, we gotta cut this out, there's no way. And so, but then as we were having that discussion, and as I almost was like, okay, let me figure out some way to make the chase shorter or something else, Chris Warren, who was doing the miniatures, was like, we got buildings, we can just put that shit on a slant, and then we can make a blah, blah, blah. And then that, while we were trying to figure it out, that turned into miniature. And then once we turned it into miniature, I was like, oh, okay, well, we can do all kind of crazy shit, you know? So like I love that thing, jumping over the hill, you know, like, and just lean more into the cartoon stuff. So some of it is there, and then some of it is like as we go, we figured out. I mean, the slanted apartment is a compromise, because I had wrote 25-degree slant, and then I just thought that sounded like the right number. And then my production designer was like, man, that, you know, costs more to do that. And I was like, it was like 15-degree, and I just thought, I agreed to 15-degree, and when I did that, I was like feeling depressed, like, oh, this is how you do half-ass shit. And then when I saw it in real life, obviously, like, it still like was something that we had to have wires for to hold harnesses and stuff, and people were like seasick on, you know. So that was a good compromise. So.
No, that shit was so raw. I've literally never seen, there was so many things that I'd never seen, and things that were reminiscent of, like, that was a question I was gonna ask you, is like, speaking of like all of the practical or like in-camera effects that you do, but then also like doing like, you know, the stop motion stuff, the Cronenberg-esque like monsters that you be building and shit. Like, there's so much like play at work that looks like, or feels like you're pulling from some influences. Not to be artsy, but like, I want to know, like, what were the things that like drove you to make this?
So in reality, there's a lot of influences, and one maybe my age and the stuff that I've taken in. You got so many influences, you don't always know where they're from. It's like if you got jazz players playing together, they're playing something, they're creating something new, but they also are synthesizing all of these things, and you could talk to them and they might tell you where that run came from. But usually, to me, to get into a good place, I'm sometimes not thinking about it, not aware of it until afterward. But sometimes I'm like, I am. So I was listening to the score to Emir Kusturica, Black Cat, White Cat, while I was writing this. And as a matter of fact, so I work very closely with Tune Yards and who did the score, and they've done the score for all of my stuff, and so to the point where sometimes when I'm just on the idea or the treatment, they'll start making stuff. And then in this case, when I was 20 pages in and it was like, this is what I've been listening to, that main theme that comes back, that was the first demo. Matter of fact, some of these are just the demo, and I'm like, they're like, oh, we did this. I'm like, no, we just want that. And so there's that. There's Jacques Tati. There's like even Jerry Lewis, Looney Tunes, Buster Keaton. There's there's just so many that just kind of layer themselves in with things, and I couldn't I have to kind of pull them apart sometimes and remember, oh yeah, that's probably where I got that from. But it's just so many that it might be many inside of one frame. Like it's not like I'm doing like, I'm gonna do this shot like that, or this shot. It's like, there's all of these things. So I think one overarching thing would be like Parliament Funkadelic, right? And the way that they use like sort of collage, and they put like, they might have a lead guitar, lead distorted guitar playing, and then it might be over an accordion, and there might be a gospel choir singing, and then someone is doing poetry stuff, and it sounds good, and it kind of ends up going through their filter. So those things like Romare Beard and things like that, they might be influences. I think I also said Peter Greenaway, stuff like that. There's so many that are in there.
Yeah, I immediately felt like there's a lot of like physical comedy in the movie. Like throughout, there's just a lot of moments that, I mean, the dialogue is hilarious, and just, the movie's so good, I'm gonna stop saying that the movie's so good, but I noticed that there's a lot of levity and a lot of like physical comedy, and I was wondering, one, like, is that the type of like comedy that you grew up like liking? Because I didn't even know how much I thought that shit was funny until right now.
Like Cinderfella, you ever seen that movie?
No, what is that?
Okay. It's a Jerry Lewis movie. It's very silly.
Rest in peace, Jerry Lewis.
It's very silly. I mean, I don't even say politically, I wouldn't rest him in peace, but but I like the movie. Like also, cause see, some people in here remember Saturday morning cartoons, but then what do you do on Sunday morning? On Sunday morning, if you're not going to church, which I did, like you're stuck with like, you got Abbott and Costello, and all that kind of stuff. And my mother wouldn't let me watch Three Stooges because it was too violent. And because my older brother would try to do this stuff too. Like physical comedy, I think is something that we need. It's interesting. I tried to do that, and there's a line, I tried to do. I have a song called "Cars and Shoes," and we actually, me and my friend, we shot a video of it, and it was like a lot of physical comedy. And I looked at it, I wasn't ready. Nobody has ever seen it because I was like, I don't, there's a line where you could go where you just, it's not. So I think it being in the context of some very grounded things makes you relate to the person instead of laugh at them, right? You're laughing with them. And I think that's like part of what ends up happening there. So all of those things. And I think it's my version of like what I think people like when they like an action movie or like a musical. It's, you know, movement and with a purpose.
Totally, and I was saying it to say, like, I marvel at it because I don't want to make it sound like I'm reducing it. It's something that I don't know that I could script that way. You know what I mean? Like, to just the idea of like something that I can laugh at that's all just like blocked. Something that you put together as a scene in your head was like, it'd be funny if they did this as opposed to they said this. You know? So I just thought that was ill, and I thought it was cool how much I was able to laugh at something that I was really thinking hard about the whole time. And that comes to probably my last question, which was, what does Lakeith Stanfield like represent? Like, you want to get into it? Because it could just be there for levity. He reminded me a lot of that white nigga from, excuse me. He reminded me of I don't know the character's name, but the guy who offers the plate of Coke in Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, wow, yeah, I didn't see the Army Hammer.
Army Hammer, I didn't realize that was him.
But yeah, oh, that's interesting, I didn't even see that.
You know what I mean though? Like it felt like
Well, he's got the
ominous.
hair thing, yeah. But yeah, I mean, well, where the character, actually I had the character before I had the movie. Like I said to, and I had Lakeith cast as the character, and him agreed to it. Like I didn't know whether it was gonna be his own movie, or it was gonna be an I'm a Virgo, or whatever. I just knew this is somebody that, and you know, some of it is, you know, like, and I'm not, I gotta couch this in a certain way because I'm not saying that, but basically you get in relationships with people and you realize that, you know, that I'll say this, I had a best friend one time, she's a woman, and I would always be like, man, how am I with all these crazy women? What's going on? And she was like, have you ever thought that you might be making them crazy? And you know, and so there's some admission of guilt in there, and there is also, but that's where the idea came from. But it's also for her, Corvette. You know, she's looking for connection. She's trying to fight loneliness, and there's several ways she can do that. That is one way. Matter of fact, during the surveys, when we were doing survey screenings, a lot of people were like, if they're not gonna be together, why is he even in the movie? Like, why didn't they get together at the end, right? And so, and I'm like, for that same reason, that's why he's in the movie, because that is an option, but that is not the right thing for her. And she's looking for that, and she finds connection with her friends, her found family, and her and with connecting to a larger movement. So and that nothing wrong with finding that connection. Nothing wrong with people that got problems. But in that case, in that case, that was not the thing for her, and this was her figuring out what was right for her, and that was, you know, one of the choices on the menu for her.
Yeah, I loved her choice. I loved her choice for sure. He was just so ominous. Like every time he came up, I was like, what is this nigga finna do? So, but again, the movie was so good, and I got a million questions, but I know there's probably some questions in the audience, so I don't wanna, do we have another microphone? Are they gonna shout at us?
How's your projection, guys?
Like right here in the center, you got on like kind of like a violet top almost from this perspective. Put your hand up one more time. Yes, you.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it's a woman behind you.
What was the deal with the futuristic super cop?
Oh yeah. Well, there was always the futuristic police tank because she accidentally she accidentally accelerates it instead of deconstructs it. But honestly, Eric Andre kept hitting me up. He kept hitting me up like, man, I heard you making a movie, let me be in it, let me be in it. And he somehow got the script. He was like, let me be designer suits dude at the beginning. And I was like, okay, we have to believe that she might have picked this character instead of Lakeith, right? And so I was like, okay, no. And then, I'm not saying that, I realize I do look like Eric Andre, so I'm not really, it's not really a diss, it's just a fact, right? And then he was like, I could be one of the skinless people, I could blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking about writing another character that people see and that it's Eric Andre, and then he could be one of the skinless people. And then, because I already had those cast. And then as I was thinking about that, he was like, yeah, I just need time to riff. Like, just put the camera on me and let me riff. And I was like, damn, we're not shooting that kind of movie. We don't have, like, we were like 3 takes. We're out. You know, that's the other thing. The cast is so amazing. Half my job is done with casting, like making sure that people can do it. And we have conversations for weeks and weeks, and they're on board. And this cast, because like it's not one of those even 6, 7 takes. It's just okay. But it's just like 3 takes, and we're moving because we had days packed. Anyway, so then I was like, we could make a driver in there. It wasn't a driver before, it was just this car chasing him. And then, and he came and he waited around all day, and we almost didn't have time to shoot it. And I was like, we could do it in 15 minutes. And he sat down and, just did it in 15 minutes. And it's,
Hell yeah.
Time for
So-
one more question.
No,
Right here.
Word. Okay, so since Lakeith's character is already something that you established, do you think we might get an origin story or a post-delivery story after the demons come out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like to leave things up to imagination. I think it's been, people are like, oh, we could do a series or something like that, where he goes town to town. And, but yeah, I doubt that I will want to spend time doing that. But I also like things to be like, you meet somebody for a little bit, like, for really my stories are like novels about one character. This is really about, this movie to me is about Corvette. And we do get to know people around her because it's important for her, but it's not like, to me, on TV shows, everybody gets their own episode, and all that. And I like it when, like, it's like real life. Like, you might meet somebody, you don't know what they do when they go home. You don't know all that. It's about, like, how are you interacting with that person? So I want some of that mystery, but if there's somebody I meet that is good at that and Lakeith wants to do it, then maybe that'll be some other side thing. Yeah.
I think that's it, guys.
So, but check this out. This is what I want to say. I know this is on Neon and they're the hot shit indie distributor and studio right now, but we don't got it covered. I need your help. With Sorry to Bother You, it started out in a couple hundred theaters, then went to 500 theaters, then 800, then for 1 week it was at 1,000 theaters. And then it went back down. But we had over the whole summer and into the fall to do that and build that up. This one, On May 22nd, opening night will be in at least 2,500 theaters. And that's a tremendous opportunity. However, it's also a tremendous danger because when you open that wide, it has to make it right then. It's make it or break it, and then it can be gone. Because there's definitely been movies that open very wide that we don't know about, right? So I need your help. If you like this movie, I need you to post about it as much as possible till your family calls you and asks, "Are you okay?" And I need you to call theaters, see if we can get it in even more screens. Make sure it's places. I need you to come back on May 22nd with like 10 friends dressed in matching monochrome and help us get this out there. All right. Because I think that it also, I think this movie can be useful. I think right now, so we have a world in which we have two governments that say, okay, we did not and are not committing genocide in Gaza, right? But fuck that, we're about to commit genocide tomorrow, right? And we know, and the reason they can do that is because they know that we know right now we're powerless. We're powerless, and that, you know, we can get 10 million people on the street saying we don't like that, and it's not going to shame anybody to stop it. We have to go after the power base, which is capital. We need a mass militant radical labor movement that uses the withholding of labor as a tactic and strategy for policy change, right? And at the same time, we're not going to